everybody. We're here live at the New Canaan Library, and we are two heads. I'm BJ Flagg.
And I'm Rich G.
And today's topic is about small business big ideas. It's a great series.
Yeah, marketing in today's climate.
I know.
Yes, I know. And
Not climate change, just climate.
No, it's a beautiful day today.
Absolutely. And we're going to be talking about when is the right time to go and hire a professional.
Yeah, you need to hire that professional.
Absolutely. Right now.
So this is going to be a longer format podcast. You've been warned. Normally,
you've been warned.
Yeah, they run 12 to 15 minutes. We'll probably run this for about an hour with lots of questions. So feel free to stick around, or if you want to book out, no big deal.
That's right. The front part of ours is the normal part of our podcast.
Absolutely.
All righty. So there's a couple of things in marketing that are going on.
Yeah.
KEDS right now is doing a big push, and I read a number of the articles, and it turns out they hired professionals from outside and came in. They had to, because I think for them, iconic brand, they decided, oh my gosh, I got to react. Yeah. We've got to be, look at our audience and do a different job.
Yeah,
so.
it's interesting. Sometimes you have to make that change. They were probably getting competition from Vans and Chuck Taylor and stuff like that, and they said, look,
we got to do it. Yeah. Converse, no big deal.
I was reading an article on Apple. I don't know if you know, a few weeks ago that Angela Ahrens, who was like the second highest person paid at Apple, was running the retail, all the stores. She was in charge of all the stores. She used to be the CEO of Burberry, and she was brought in 5 years ago to run the
revolutionize.
Apple stores. And it really didn't happen because she had a 5-year contract, and on the 365th day of her 5th year, she was let go. And they're now bringing in Deirdre O'Brien, who's a 30-year veteran of Apple.
30 years. Yes. Can you imagine that?
So I think they're going to bring it back. I don't know how you guys feel about going to an Apple store lately. Years ago, I could just spend all day there. Now I'm in there and I go
grab and go.
I just want to get out of here. So anyway.
You have a great quote today?
Yeah, my quote is from Red Adair. He's an American oil well firefighter. And if you think it's expensive to hire a professional to do the job, wait until you hire an amateur. So,
not good.
It's true. And you've got a great quote, too.
Exactly. I'm staying on my Apple theme. This is from Steve Jobs. If it doesn't make sense to hire smart people and then tell them what to do, we hire smart people so that they can tell us what to do. Yeah. I love that.
Yeah, Steve Jobs.
Nice. A really good one. So I know you were talking about you have a great connection to PR.
Yeah, when I first started my business, I'm a high-performance coach. I have a practice based in Stanford and New York, and I coach with people all over the world, businesses and executives. When I first started my business 12 years ago, I hired a PR person. And it was great. If you ever worked, anybody in PR here? Anybody do PR here? Okay, great. So working with someone in PR, they call you and go, I have Sue Schellenberger from the Wall Street Journal. You need to talk to her in 2 hours because she's got a deadline, and you have to be on and ready to go. So I worked with the PR person for about 1.5 years, and it's a little expensive, but it was well worth it. I got in the New York Times, Wall Street Journal. I also was on the Today Show. It was great. And it was wonderful. But there was a certain time, so I made the conscious decision to hire that professional because it was well worth it for my business, and it gave me the standard bearer of being taken seriously. Now when I tell clients, I've been in the New York Times, they go, oh, really? Oh, okay. You have that authority. So
definitely.
Anyway,
I know that, when I first started New Renew, we had a group come in that had just bought the interest to a French firm that was going to come into the U.S. And they were a great company. They were an asset management company. They really hadn't quite figured out their brand and that type of thing. But over 10 years, they grew to such a point that they got purchased by another French banking company, and they're a global asset finance software. So they went from an undefined way of working to this incredible thing. But they used us where they could. financially at first they couldn't afford a lot. But as we slowly did, we were their marketing department. They said, soon we'll hire someone internally. And they never did. They just stayed with us until the big purchase, which was so exciting to get to see that culmination.
Yeah, and a lot of people, and we'll be talking about this too, a lot of people think, well, I don't know if I could afford a professional. I go, they're not going to be in your life forever like cable TV.
Yeah.
Okay, they aren't. Okay?
Right.
And the
In
average
internet.
amount of time I work with a client is 6 to 12 months. And it's kind of like we help you hold the bicycle seat and we let go and you're off.
Yep.
And that's the best part. So when you make a decision about a professional, it's not a lifetime decision. So.
Exactly. And there's just so many different professionals.
Absolutely.
Right? So
Absolutely.
many.
So you have the first tip.
I have the first tip.
Okay.
And I have to read. So you have a natural aptitude for certain things. We all do. And we decided to leave corporate or our other job and start our own firm for a reason. We were excited, we were ready to go, but those are not necessarily the same skills that are our marketing skills.
Yeah.
They just sometimes don't mesh up. At first, you have to do everything. You're starting your company, you've got to do everything. You try your hardest, you do what you can.
Yeah.
But really, our tip to all the people is really start writing down those things that are not your natural gift.
What
and
don't
just
you
start
like?
making lists. What do you not like to
Yeah.
do?
What do you procrastinate on?
Yeah.
Is it, how many people like to do financials here? Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, excellent,
So,
great. I
one
don't.
person.
I'm terrible at it. So I have a bookkeeper that handles that for me because I know I have weak points. And the weak points we start to get on, well, I should be able to do that. I should be able.
Right.
Sometimes you're not good at it.
Yeah,
So,
and it's okay. It's okay. That's a good time to say, hire the professional.
Exactly. The second tip is more of a marketing thing. You are not your audience, and that's a huge thing.
We can't say that enough.
Yeah,
You are not your audience.
when I work with my clients, I run into this all the time. They go, "Well, I don't like to do that," or I tell them you should raise your prices. Oh, I don't know if I'd pay that. I go, you're not your audience. You're not your audience. Raise your prices. That's it. By the way, everybody, raise your prices. Raise your prices.
That's your takeaway tonight.
When it comes to marketing and social media, you need to better understand your audience. Really understand. You could speak in your own conversational tone, but talk about things that your audience is interested in.
Your audience might be interested in Snapchat, and you don't even know where to find that.
Exactly.
So it does take a lot of figuring out what your marketing mix is going to be.
Yeah, find out what their wants are, their needs. What are the pain points of your typical customer?
Yep.
If you're great at working with car dealers, what's the main pain point of that's happening? Start talking to that. I always say, be the dentist looking for gingivitis and pick at it. Just start picking, and you will get clients. You'll get clients all
So
the
gross. I'm going to go to tip 3. So create a posse of people, a group of supporters that can really help your company grow. A lot of times people will be networking and they don't realize that all of those connections are people who could support your business. And especially in social media, in so many of the different event projects that you can do, really look to the people who could be supportive of you. And in reverse, always support them back. We have a lot of people who always say, could you help me with this? Can you like all my stuff? You say, well, sure, but you haven't really communicated and liked my stuff. So it does need to be a two-way street. You need to have a
Absolutely.
little bit of that back and forth.
You have to have good relationships like the new Canaan Chamber.
Exactly.
And the Canaan Chamber.
That's right. That's right. And really, the positivity wins every single time.
Yeah.
If you see their post and you can get on and engage and talk on it, you're really way ahead of the game.
Yeah.
Absolutely ahead of the game.
And pushing it. I'll get a newsletter from somebody I know, and I'll push that newsletter out. If I like it, it's like, okay, I'm going to push it out to all of the people that I know about. And I do that, and people are like, wow, thank you so much.
Yeah.
So.
Makes a difference.
Our fourth and final tip is the one that I tell people all the time, just take the lead.
Just do
hire
it.
the professional.
Yes.
Don't obsess about it. Don't go, I don't know if I can afford it. Do a test. See if you could talk them into a 30-day test. Let me better understand how you can help my business. Hire them as soon as possible and go bigger than you normally would. You know, people try to pick their most inexpensive package.
Yeah.
And it's like, don't do that. You know, go into it. You're in business. You know, think about, and I tell this to people all the time, think about if you had to start a business 20, 30 years ago. You need a brick and mortar store. Yellow Pages ads
Yellow
back then
Pages
were
ads.
$500 a month, okay?
Yeah.
And now you can open up a business. You don't need brick and mortar. You don't need Yellow Pages
Got
ads.
your Instagram going.
Yeah, you could do it for like pennies on the dollar. So we try to do it all ourselves. And candidly, the job you're doing is going to come off amateur. People are going to see it.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I'll do my own logo. Or
Yeah.
just like, don't do that.
Yeah, I'm going to have my younger brother's son do it.
Oh, yeah. Or
I
I'll have
wanna
my
meet
wife
that
take,
guy.
I'll have my wife take my headshot. It's like,
Yeah,
don't
no,
do that.
don't.
Do that. You need to trust the resource and fully commit. That's the other thing. Sometimes you get people that work with you and they're hesitant or they're defensive. It's like,
Nope, all in.
Go all in. You know?
Yeah, so we're hoping everybody will do that.
Absolutely. So
Yep.
the homework, we always give homework. We always
I
give
know.
homework is look
don't
at
have
your
to do it.
business and figure out which areas you struggle in, okay? And start
Mm-hmm.
a conversation with a professional who can help you immediately. You know, there are places, and I promise you, the areas that you struggle in are probably the areas that are holding your business back from being even bigger.
That's right.
So.
And so at this point, we're going to open it up for questions. And we look to everybody for, you know, hopefully you've kind of thought through a little bit about what your questions are going to be. And so let's see who has them. And of course, I can just insane, you know, keep talking.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is really
Just keep
good.
talking. Oh, first question.
Our age group, I'm assuming we're all around the same age.
Uh-huh.
I don't
30?
find a lot of my, yes, I don't find a lot of my peers on Instagram, although I love it.
Uh-huh.
So what social media do you use to reach our age group?
Well, is it, so you're trying to reach a certain age level, and you'd be surprised because ours is one of the fastest growing segments on both Facebook and Instagram. So you'd be surprised about that number. So
How do you find those figures? Because I didn't know that.
that is when you're doing promoted posting and you're trying to hone in on your audience. All of a sudden, you can start to see how many people within a geographic area fit the demographic that you just did. So you can see that age group. You can get really honed right in on it. So that's the best way to do it. It's also, I have to say that the social media platforms tend to be age agnostic. So, you know, if you feel because of the type of work you do, you only appeal to this certain grouping, then you'll want to do, you know, hone in on, you know, you're going to have to be doing a lot of winnowing to try to find those people. But otherwise, you'd be surprised, right?
Yeah, ask some of your customers or clients what they use.
Yeah.
And do a lot of testing. You know, I did a lot of stuff out there, and I was just like, this is just not working, so I drop it. So.
Yeah, you try it for a little while and see how it works and go from there. So who's hired different professionals, either for kind of a short-term gig type thing? What kind of things have we hired people for?
I hired someone to get me on radio, and then
Oh, there you go.
There you go.
interviews, and I loved it.
You did. And did you feel radio was a good place for you based on your business?
Yes, my business, the one I was promoting, was more like a hobby. So I was trying to get the word out, but
Yeah.
there was really nothing to sell that I could measure how well I was doing.
Right.
So I don't know what the bottom line was.
Exactly. But you did enjoy it.
I did.
Okay, then. I know we have a couple of people from the New Canaan Board of Realtors here, and I know you're right now in the middle of building a campaign.
Yes.
And we've noticed some great traction. I've been following. And what kind of things have you been stumbling into? Because I know you've been doing it for a little while. Are you starting to kind of hit?
We have. We spent 2 months on research and discovery.
Great.
And then,
You have a nice team of people working on it.
thank you.
Yeah.
The company tried to come up with a name for our campaign.
Uh-huh.
And spent quite a bit of time on that. And,
Yeah.
you know, having all these females, critical females sitting around the table.
Yeah.
We just didn't feel like it was the right one, so we lost a little time there.
Gotcha.
But we have an Instagram account called Live New Canaan.
Live New
which we
Canaan.
love,
Uh-huh.
And we decided just to go stick with our roots.
Yeah.
So we're not gonna waste any more time on a name for the campaign. We are just gonna be Live New Canaan. with
Wonderful.
Our Realtor logo that BJ designed last year.
Hey,
And so-
this is not a plant in the
no,
audience.
She did not, no, I was gonna say that. She did our, BJ did our New Canaan Realtors website. She did a fabulous job.
That was fun.
She's also helped me in my own personal webpage.
Yeah,
telling
that's
me-
been fun.
Yeah, she wrote my bio, so she's a great asset that way. So, and in many ways, she's a
Yeah,
great asset.
thank you.
The other things, what do we do? So anyway, we're working on some events, and we're gonna go live in June with some of the
Ah,
events.
that's
we have
awesome.
coming
That
up
sounds
for the
wonderful.
town. Yeah.
Yeah, so that, what's exciting about that is you guys are the energy of our town. When you think of the realtors, they touch all of us. The minute we've entered the town, we've met a realtor. And for us, they're like our biggest cheerleaders out there. And to get to hear what you're doing is pretty exciting.
Yeah.
And we have had, recently, we've had different, people reach out to us for press releases.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
that's what our PR company
And that's what
is
you
doing for us,
wanted.
which is really great.
Yeah, and that helps the entire town, not just
Yeah.
you.
And they're coming more and more, which is very exciting.
Yeah.
So,
I see Mark
Oh,
Halpert.
I want to just mention one
Go.
thing. This is my thing with advertising homes online and stuff. Put as many photos as you can up there. And I don't know if I'm like everybody else, but I'm nosy. And I want to see, I'm not lying, I'd like to see 90, 100 photos.
of
Because
homes and information about homes?
on the home,
Yeah.
if you're doing a home, take 100 photos and put them all up there. Because when I don't see that many, I go, they're hiding something. And I even like, a grill work or on a heater
Oh,
or
detail.
in the
Detail
kitchen or
shots are
something.
great.
Or I really want to see everything. Look, I'm going to go all the way in and then I'm not going to like something, but the more I see, I'll sit and just click. And the 360-degree things, I don't do.
Well, as time has gone on, we've decided to make it as much real estate driven as we can.
Yeah.
Our
Yeah.
website.
Yeah, and people are
It's
going to
true.
love it,
Yeah.
so that's all good.
Absolutely. So, Mark, you are next.
Yeah,
I hire people for SEO because I don't know how to do it.
awesome,
Yeah.
great.
All the time. So
Yep.
I don't want to be the one who has to figure that stuff out.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's an area, another one would be like Google AdWords. It was great. I would say even to 2 years ago, 3 years ago, I would say, you could pretty much get in there and do it yourself type thing. Nowadays, there's 3 people in my firm who have to take certificates and keep them up to date, and it is a bear. It's a bear. And it's more important now because of all this geo-targeting, this ability to just fine tune,
Absolutely.
right? From when you're doing promoted work and
Yeah.
things like that. Oh my gosh, that ability to hone in on that niche.
Yeah, you have to get really specific. I mean,
Yeah.
to get that Google Analytics certificate, it's almost like being a cardiologist.
I know, that's how I felt.
That's how complex it is.
Right.
So.
I did a whole social time of when I had to go do my renewal, and I dragged
was
everybody
complaining
right
the
through
whole
the
time.
mud, right through the mud.
I do not want to do this.
I don't want to
do this.
But I just figured this out. It's great.
But it's great. And
yeah.
they don't, again, once they set things up, they don't have to be in your life forever. Just set it up, let
Yeah.
it run, and then maybe say,
Check your
come
quarterly."
on back quarterly or that sort of
It's a
thing.
two-way street. I
Yeah.
operate my business that way. You don't need me
Yeah.
for the rest of your life, and I don't want to do the rest of your life. Just
Exactly.
get you started, and off you go. Right? Okay.
Exactly. So who else do we have in the audience? I see we have Peter Dean here from Dean. So you use social media all the time?
Yes.
Yeah? And one of the coolest things is when you go and travel to events and you take people with you. And I love that. I love the idea of the energy of what you're seeing at that show that maybe we don't get to see. And the idea that, you're finding the trends.
Well, it becomes less static, right? So
Yeah.
You're kind of letting your audience into your world.
Yeah.
And clients love video, by the way, too. Way
Oh.
more.
Oh, yeah.
Imagine the amount of views that we get on a video versus a photo is,
Just
Yeah.
crazy different. Yeah, you had put one up, I know you're redoing your showroom down in Stamford, and you put one up today that showed how they were putting the marble in to the floor. I was like, oh my gosh, this is gonna be so amazing. So,
and keep in mind, it doesn't have to be anything special.
Yeah.
I took a 10-second video of a guy laying tile.
yeah,
It wasn't like a production or anything. I just walked by, I was like, oh,
he's doing the tile now.
And it's interesting you mentioned that, is informational stuff grabs people. It's like, this is how we put in tile. And I actually watched this guy. He's a home inspector, and he inspects new homes. That's all he inspects. And the amount of things that are wrong in these new homes, it's just amazing. He just goes around, and I watch him, and it's just great. So informational thing. By the way, I'm right across the street from you.
all right,
I'm at
Yep.
Soundview Plaza. So,
together.
yes.
You have to stop in
Stop in.
and purchase a
Absolutely.
kitchen at this time.
There you go.
I like that, I like that. Who else do we have in the audience that has a business?
Yes.
I have a fine jewelry and American craft business.
Fine jewelry and American craft, all righty.
Online, and we are using Instagram, Facebook, and we are also doing email blasts once a month.
Ooh.
That's good.
How do you like the email blasts? How's that? Have you done it for a while?
We've been doing it probably for a year now.
Oh, good.
So it helps, and gives people an idea of what we're all about. And
Yeah.
We put little tidbits of information.
Uh-huh.
We also do, if we go to shows, we'll do pictures of who we're buying from, and so it kind of engages
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
What we do on the outside of the shop.
Yeah.
And Mother's Day is coming up.
Exactly.
So there you go. Get some nice jewelry.
You may speak with her afterwards. She has the
Absolutely.
goods.
Oh, I have a story about email blasts. I do a newsletter, but it's mostly, I call it 1 minute motivate. So you could read it in
Very
about a
short.
minute. I've constantly thought, I don't know, I send it out to about 2,000 people. I had like a group of about 3,000, and then I started looking, I go, these are people all in Russia. And like, I go, let me get it.
I think I have to work
I'm
on
gonna
my
get rid of
list.
those people. But what was interesting was I wanted to get rid of it, and then I got a call about a year ago from a CEO saying, I've been following your newsletter, I want to hire you for a workshop. And at that point, I was like, I'm not getting rid of the newsletter, and I've actually doubled down. I do one every week now, and it's short, people get it, and I might get like 1 or 2 people a month that
Unsubscribe.
unsubscribe. That's great.
But I thought it was so funny because when you decided to go to that, more, frequently.
Sure, yeah.
You thought, oh, my numbers are going to go way down.
No.
And they haven't.
No, people like it.
Yeah.
And
So
and
you got to trust your audience. You got to love them.
I have a hit with unsubscribes. I always check, and if it's a friend or somebody I know, I call them up and I say,
Right then.
You don't love me anymore? And I make them feel guilty. But they usually go, I'm getting too many emails. But it's a great way to start a conversation.
Station with them.
To say, you don't
So
love
if you
me.
do get that phone call from Rich, you know why.
Yes, you don't love me.
Right, exactly.
I have an Instagram question. Has to do with how personal, people get really personal on their business Instagrams.
Yeah.
I'm not, I'd like some
You
advice
got
on
you
that.
have to decide where your comfort level is.
Yeah.
Because you have different accounts,
Yeah.
right? I have different accounts. So my new business and our joint,
Yes.
2 heads are very professional.
Yeah.
But then if you go to my personal one, you're going to be finding out all about the antics on the weekend and what's happening and the pictures.
I
and,
do all the shots of myself in a bikini.
and the working.
stuff.
No, you don't, but you're working out.
So-
and
No,
all
but you
that.
know what I mean? I do agree. And sometimes
Yeah.
you're looking at it and you're like, okay, that's it. I don't want to see that anymore.
Yeah,
So-
and really you have to decide what connection is it to your business. What if you had a sports business, like you have, Your Oxygen Fitness here in town. You need to be on there all the time, kind of showing the people working out, and there's going to be a, great, new program that's going to start Tuesdays at 7 in the morning,
Yeah. Or
and
this
all
how,
that.
This is how you do a stretch. Like,
Yeah.
if your legs are tight after getting out of the car and after an hour in traffic, here's some stretches to do.
Yeah.
Those are the best. Those are the ones that people read. They're like,
Yeah, they're
I
like
want to read that.
drawn into it. But if somebody gets on there and goes, "Oh, I'm so tired, I can't even get work," and you're like, "Oh no, I didn't come for that. Didn't do that."
And if I see one more picture of food, I'm going to shoot someone. I'm not.
Unless it's a good idea.
Yeah, if it's somebody cooking, that's great. But it's like, this is what I'm eating.
Right. I don't
can't,
want to have anything
no.
to do with it.
Okay, another question. How often for a business should you post?
Oh. Ah.
You need to know your audience.
Got to know your audience.
Know your audience.
And I
yeah.
think frequency wins. So,
What is frequency?
oh,
Once a day?
Regularity, frequency.
regularity,
Yeah, you can't-
consistency.
Don't do 5 and then don't do anything for 2 weeks.
Right.
I'd rather see 1 a day, each day. I
Mm-hmm.
find the frequency of regularity works better because then you're popping into someone.
Yeah. And we laugh hysterically because, I do this for a business. Rich keeps his going like amazingly. And when we thought of Two Heads, we said, we need to get a spark going. So we developed a little A/B test that we were going to do. And we
Yeah.
said, let's do it for a month.
Yeah,
If it works, great. If it doesn't, it doesn't, whatever. We doubled our hits to the podcast
yeah.
by just making a couple little alterations and increasing maybe to 4 a week.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't dramatic. So imagine if I had done more. Yeah?
With my Instagram post, I want to plan it out. I know there's all these apps that allow you, like Plannerly and Hootsuite and stuff
Mhm.
like that.
Yeah.
Are there some that are easier to use,
Better
to
than
use?
others.
Like, I know some of them, you still have to like upload it manually every day.
Yeah.
And post it.
Yeah.
Is there anything that sort of, once you have it all set up, you can just let it fly?
Yeah. Well, we're purists.
Yeah.
So we go right from the application. And a lot of people find that pretty odd, even for my clients. And the reason is engagement. Your job is not to do an upload. Your job is to engage. And if you're not on the actual platform and interacting and seeing who you can support and who can support you, you're doing yourself a disservice.
Yeah, I mention this all the time. I go, social media is social. It's a conversation. And I don't know about you guys, but I've been using social media now for a number of years.
Yeah.
I could smell a staff member or a service doing it a mile away now. I could go, they're not even writing this stuff. I don't want to follow it anymore. I love it when you can tell.
The genuineness.
Yeah, the genuine, yeah.
That, you really can see Mark talking. And occasionally I'll pick up the phone because I want to talk to him, because I hear where he's going with a post or what he's doing, and I think, I'll just call him and see if I'm right on this one. So the interchange is the most important part.
Yeah.
And yeah, you want to save time.
Well, I think also just so it's not always sort of knee-jerk reaction posts, that there's sort of a plan and a thought, and
Yeah.
particularly when you're launching,
Mhm.
that you sort of have a plan and you want to make sure that you cover these certain things.
Sure.
And you haven't overdone it too much on something else, some
Well,
other aspect.
we do, we have an editorial calendar that we use for clients. And so on there, I see their major points. So if they have 4 parts to their business,
Right.
I will rotate through those points. So if there's a campaign, I'm heavy into one point. But if it's generally I want to keep going, I can look and see, you do this great.
Yeah.
Where you write the blog post, you'll go onto LinkedIn, you post a little bit there, then you'll post a little in Instagram, right? Let it flow over to Facebook. So that ability to kind of flow through your social and then start to see who you can help that day, you're going to get a bigger bang for your buck.
Yeah, I block it in. The thing I tell clients go, I don't have time. And I go, yeah, you do. You just have to put it in your calendar.
Yeah.
Just put it in, like, I'll write my article on Monday, and I have it blocked out. I get up early in the morning. I find that's when I'm most creative. So early in the morning,
Yeah, some people
I
are
could
night
write.
people, some
Find
people-
the best time to
Yeah.
do it, and then just do. Then I just drop it into all the things. But it doesn't take that long. I mean, literally, I'll write the article, and or the article will take me maybe half an hour, 45 minutes.
Yeah.
But then dropping it in
Short
all the
and sweet.
places, it's like less than 10 minutes. It's like boom, 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 boom,
Yeah.
done.
And you have to kind of like dissect why you're concerned about that component of it. And that might be the mixture of aptitude versus interest,
Yeah.
you know. And that's where a professional might come in, and all you're in charge of is the engagement.
Yeah.
You know, so you might hire someone to do your social, but engagement, you're doing it. You're in there talking to people and saying, hey, Suze, I see what you got going there. I love it. And that kind of stuff. Because your name appears when you go and talk on somebody else's post.
Yeah.
So why not do it? It's fantastic to be able to keep, you know, your name out there. And people will start to say, they'll say, BJ, you're on social all the time. I'm like, no, I'm not. But in their eyes, they see me all different places, and they make that assumption.
Yeah. Less is more, quality over quantity. Put something powerful out there and people will read it. If you just keep throwing, you know, spaghetti on the wall, nobody's going to read it.
Yeah.
And do that. So, yeah.
Rich, do you post your blog content on LinkedIn as well?
Yes, absolutely.
And how do you network on LinkedIn?
Oh,
We were just talking about this
I
today.
actually, if for my business, if I'm a high performance coach, so I work with business people. So LinkedIn is a key component of my business. It's my favorite social media. And ever since Microsoft purchased them, they've dumped a ton of money in, and they've really thought out. They did a redesign. At first I didn't like, now I love it. And they're really thinking through stuff. Become a premium member. You get a lot more for the bang for the buck. You get a lot of things for it. You get to send out a lot of in-mails and reach out to people. But there's a lot of other things that are associated with it.
Yeah.
It's a great thing. And I could post, that's the other thing. You don't have to write stuff. I read this great article. Post the article. I saw a great video on YouTube with Eric Weinstein, who's the CEO of Teal Group, which is a hedge fund. He talked all about the future of jobs. And I was like,
Oh my gosh,
I watched
mind-blowing.
this video, and I'm like, this guy's saying what I've been trying to say for 5 years. I posted it right up on LinkedIn. And it took 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Literally 30 seconds. It's not that hard.
Recently, Mark had asked me to do a blog post as a guest blogger. It's a great thing to do on your website. You don't have to be the one writing all the blog posts, but you need them to be, important to your business and kind of
Yeah.
tied into your business. But there's no reason why you can't reach out to friends or to colleagues and say, hey, can you write about this one component and see how you can pull them in? That was a great idea, and that's worked out nicely. I love reading them because they're, they have like a nice little twist to them.
I'm going to do a slight diversion just for a second. That also brings in BJ too. It's not all social media. I think we're all thinking.
Yes, we're all
'cause
thinking
it's free.
social.
Signage. Signage is so important. If you have a business that's hyper-local and you have vans or something, do the signage on that if you have a location. Billboards are great. I have a client who runs his own gym. He's tripled his revenue in the last 2 years. He said, how else can I reach the community? I said, sponsor a Babe Ruth team, a baseball team.
Yep,
Then
for
you have-
90 minutes, I have to look at the back of that shirt.
Yeah, you have 30 kids running around with your name on it, and the back fence has your name on it, and you have all these parents sitting there in 90-degree heat for 3 hours looking at your name, and it's like $500. It's the
Right.
best $500 you've ever spent.
Another great one is bus backs, at
Yeah.
the back of the bus. There's, always, a little ad right there. You think, I don't know. I have a client who swears by them, absolutely loves them, loves to put new media, new graphics on there. So it's a great, different type of marketing that you wouldn't necessarily think of, but fantastic for your business. It might be one of the things that you invest in and say, you know what, I'm going to take it out, I'm going to do it.
One of our good friends, Hungwell Science.
Yes.
He does.
In
I don't know if you
Darien.
saw it. He sponsored the Keep the Smile Clean on 95. I don't know if you saw
Yeah.
it.
I've seen it.
See, you've seen it.
See?
And he says it's like $300 a month, but he gets so much business from it.
So much
By the way,
business.
it's like one of the best names for business I ever heard.
Really, really. I mean, that's ridiculous, right? Oh, my goodness. So, other types of marketing, what else have you kind of invested in? What are some other good things?
A book.
Oh, my gosh. That's the best, a book,
Yeah.
right?
We walk around with so much intellectual capital. You know so much about each one of your vocations. You are like this Einstein walking around. Put it in a book, because there are people that, like, I don't know any. Mark, you write about LinkedIn all the time, and it's like, I don't know half the stuff about LinkedIn that you know.
And-
I'll tell you a story. And a woman called me from Canada, and she said, "Hi, you don't know me, but I just pulled your book right out of the Toronto Public Library, and I want you to write a blog post for me." And that turned into a podcast.
Yeah.
And now I'm podcasting to Toronto lawyers who I'd never have access to.
You would have never
because
been
the
able to
book is
touch them. Big difference, right?
Huge.
And that's their Gold Coast.
Books.
That's great.
What's your name?
We have a dear friend that we've known in a networking group for quite a long time, and she reached out and said, "Oh, it must be so expensive to do the podcast. I don't know if I can do it." And I'm like, oh my God, it's not expensive at all. There's organization. It took us 6 months to kind of get the first part, but
They're all hosted on Libsyn, which is $20 a month.
yes, that's our gigantic expense.
That's where most of the pros load their stuff, and it's instant download.
Yep.
The hint about podcasting is, and I tell this to everyone, get a partner.
Yes.
Because if you're doing a business, you're like, oh, I can't do it this week, so I won't do it.
Yes, I'm not
And
gonna
it turns into two. We keep each other. We actually told each other at the last one, if it wasn't for you, we wouldn't have a podcast. Now
We went back and forth going, oh my gosh, if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't know what to do.
I can't do this on my own.
I know, it makes a big difference. So we haven't heard from this group over here. What type of businesses do we have over here? Anybody?
Well, I have a question.
Good.
How do you make a sort of a data bank for yourself? In other words, follow the trends. I'm particularly interested in retail.
Yeah.
And, because you have to adjust them all the time.
Yeah.
And,
Oh,
and, you might say traditional things
right.
are just producing less and less. So do you have a data bank you can go to? Do you have any information about where you get statistical information that you find useful?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, places like Darien and Canaan fall into such a small pot that you rarely see the
Big
Yeah.
difference,
good,
yeah.
good stuff.
Like, what kind of data are you talking about, like, that you're looking for?
Any kind of data, I mean, retail sales.
Yeah,
I mean,
like if
house
you were
Okay.
gonna do,
sales,
follow a
lot of-
trend.
Oh, I
noticed
see.
that a lot of the house sales and the condominium sales are always distorted because there's such a small data bank.
Yeah.
Yeah,
For instance, if you can't take, the difference between 52 and 57, it looks like a lot, but it's a small base. It's
Yeah.
not statistically correct.
and I
It's
think,
misleading, really.
yeah, I think you said something really important there, which is in retail, we are in a bubble. So New Canaan, Darien, it's a bubble.
Yeah.
And we, up until, say, 5 years ago, weren't hit outside of the bubble by what's going on. If you look at what's going on, entire, streets of retail are gone. And for us, that didn't really start until about 5 years ago, where there's adjustments that have happened in retail. But I think what we're finding is anybody who's made the jump in retail to being bricks and mortar and online, there you start seeing the successes.
Yeah.
And being very
Do you have a
upsetting.
database? Do you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For example,
yeah,
I mean, this is the problem.
I would start, if you're doing like a hyperlocal, like a town or something like that, to look at the statistics and the data, go to the Department of Economic Affairs, the economic person in your town. I live in Oxford, and we have an economic development director, and he has all that data right there because they get it off the tax rolls and everything. They know what everybody makes. Also, I don't know, Chamber of Commerce might have a lot of information and data on the types of businesses and the money and stuff.
The tax base from the assessor's information is private in New Canaan, so I don't know how anyone's going to learn anything.
They can aggregate it. They can probably show you the aggregation of it.
I should think they could, but
Yeah.
they haven't.
Yeah.
They haven't.
Yeah.
And also, I think with retail, so much of it is the trends of what's happening in the industry. So if you're part of an industry association, the association is the one
Sure.
who has all the data, right?
Yeah, but there are companies like Claritas that has demographic data and that information. There are lots of companies like FactSet that'll take a lot of census data with demographic data and plug that in. So you could do a lot of
But if you
different
look at
things.
that census data, it's always about 4 years old.
Yeah, yeah.
It never
So, and when you think hyper-local, you got to trust yourself.
Yeah, but I used to work in statistical data. They aggregate, they extrapolate it out. Even though it's like 4 years old, they could do a lot. They bring in a lot of other information to make it a little bit sharper. I mean, you're not going to have massive, and I used to say this to clients, you're not going to have massive movements of people or demographics or incomes or ethnicities or any other measure within 4 years. You're going to see like a major movement. Like the stuff that's happening in Stanford right now is incredible. If you see, like, businesses are, what are the businesses that are doing well in Stanford right now?
Restaurants.
Restaurants. Yeah,
Restaurants,
yeah,
money.
apartment houses, apartments. You know, that's the delivery services because it's all the millennials and the Gen Ys that are moving in.
Right.
They don't want to own a house. They want to live on the
Car?
water.
Don't want a car?
Yeah, I have a client that doesn't have a car. He does not have a car. And he lives in Stanford. He goes, no, I just walk to the train station going to New York.
Yeah,
So
just
it's
never,
amazing.
never really affected that way.
Yeah.
So, and retail's a big, just retail has changed so much. So I think,
Yeah.
we have to remember, you were talking about your online, the jewelry business. That could be, especially in social media, it could be such a beautifully rich, something that you can share and give all the different possibilities. So in such a short time you could do, but you could also turn around and do a pop-up shop and enjoy that and get to really meet so many new people.
Yeah, I have a friend.
Yeah.
I have a friend from college. He and his family have, I think it's pronounced Kwaruba sheepskin moccasins and slippers. They're the best, by the way. And they're reasonable, and they used to sell them mail order. Now they're online. They're on Facebook. They sell it all. They've expanded their business tremendously. Kwaruba, Qwar. It's like an Australian.
Sounds like something we have to get.
They're the best. They're the best boots.
So does anybody else have any other questions?
Yes.
I'm looking to restart my business.
Oh, nice.
I wrote resumes,
Excellent.
edited book manuscripts.
Uh-huh.
Wrote
Oh,
sales
these are
and
both
marketing
good.
Material, but I did my advertising was in the phone book.
Uh-huh.
What is relatively inexpensive way to
LinkedIn.
market?
LinkedIn.
And also leave your business card with Rich G, because I work with a lot of people looking for jobs. I don't write resumes.
Right.
So I always recommend people. That's the thing. Look for coaches, recruiters that will write, that
Because
need
you'll end up
resume writers.
using
Yeah,
LinkedIn to go and find the people who want you.
yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one to use LinkedIn for.
Yeah,
Definitely.
LinkedIn's great.
To find different work, yeah.
So anything else? Does anybody do an interesting type of marketing that we haven't mentioned yet that works for you?
Can I add one more?
Yes.
Public speaking.
Public speaking.
What a great idea. Yeah, getting out there, getting on a panel, making sure that you're, CNBC, maybe sponsor an event, go and do, anything that you can where you group up with another couple of people any
Yeah.
of that type of stuff. That is awesome.
Yeah, libraries are always looking for good speakers, as long as you're not promoting, you're actually giving. That's why I think financial advisors really messed it up. By selling I hope you're not in here, but there were some that were just advertisements. You need to give people real information.
And just have fun.
Yeah, libraries are happy to do it. I just volunteered. I live in Oxford. We have a brand new library. I said, look, I'll do a monthly workshop on job search and also on entrepreneurship to
Right.
help people with their businesses for free, because I want to give back to the community.
Yeah, it's
So-
good. So you had a question.
Oh, yeah, what's a good blog platform? What do you use?
Oh, we like to do our blogs right on our website. So not a separate blog. And why? Because of the SEO that those blogs will pull into your site is unbelievable.
Yeah.
I know for the chamber, you are very steady with your blog posts, and your SEO is off the charts because it's consistent. It's got so many great keywords in it. And when you talk about SEO, what's on the front of the site is the most important. So any keyword or word you're using on the front is so much more important than what you've stuffed in the back.
Yeah.
So whenever you think about it, you do.
Yeah,
Oh,
I do
can't.
mine too,
I know
yeah.
the other day you gave a count of how many it was, like in the 900s. I'm like,
Yeah.
holy cow! So
Yeah.
many blog posts.
I've written about 750 articles.
Oh,
But I've got it
Couldn't
down
believe
to a
it.
science on how I write it. But
Yeah.
the big thing is that I agree is that you want to own your stuff. Like there used to be Blogger and a bunch of other.
Right.
They're all out of business.
and you could go on
know.
LinkedIn and write a blog post. The issue with that is that the minute you put it on LinkedIn, it's not owned by you. And people can find you, and it does give you some very rich data for people finding and hearing your thought leadership, right?
Yes.
So it's awesome that way, but it should reside somewhere else too, and that should be your pot of gold. And that's why we're always saying, go on, have your own site, have your own website.
Yeah, I have my own privacy policy on my website. And
What they
that
can borrow and how they
clearly
do it.
states, look, you can grab it as long as you give me attribution and you point them back to my website.
We're super happy to share, right?
But any other fun things that you can? I always love to hear, somebody always has like, oh, I
Body
do
paint.
this, I do flags on boats, and I'm like, I never thought of that.
That is a
That's
good
great.
one.
Anybody?
I haven't done it yet, but I plan on doing some charity stuff where you donate your services.
Yep.
Yes, very
In a
big.
place where you're gonna have your target audience.
The hint is with the charity, I do a lot of charity. I give away a free month of coaching. I have, stand-up things, because whatever they do, if it's like a silent auction, they never do a good, they do a bad
Bring in
copy.
your own stuff.
I bring in my own stuff, and I go there, and I stand near it and talk to
And
people
network
about it.
and-
Network,
Yeah.
because it's important. People want to see, especially if you have, a product or something. I'm the product. I want to meet people there.
Yeah.
I saw a hand up over there.
Yeah, I started a service company for standby generators.
Oh, nice.
Oh, wow, generators are,
Done no marketing yet.
Mm-hmm.
But I see a lot of service companies are still doing mailers, like ads by mail.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering, are these still effective, or are they just getting thrown in the trash, like kind of what I do?
well, what's interesting about mailers is because they're not readily coming to your place anymore, your mailer tends to stand out. I think for a newer entrepreneur, a mailer can be quite expensive. There are ones out there called EDDMs, which are sent to certain households. And if you hone in on that list, you could get a small enough number that where it won't break the bank for you and be too expensive. But a mail, that can be some of the most expensive,
Yeah.
in your
And
percentage.
I used to work in direct mail, and the hint is you can't just do it once. You got to
Yeah.
do it like 12 times. And that's
Yeah.
where it gets expensive. I would say for you, and by the way, I up in Oxford, we were looking for a generator person.
Yeah.
You know how I found him? I followed him around.
A truck.
A truck. Your signage is so important on your
Yeah.
van. Just getting out, because I was fine, and I'm trying and speak his phone number and take a picture while I'm driving of the truck, because there is no phone book, there is no anything.
Right.
And I found it.
Yeah.
Also, the other thing that's huge for hyperlocal businesses is to get picked up by the local community groups on Facebook, like the moms groups, like
Yeah.
Darien
New
Moms
Canaan
or New Canaan
Moms.
Moms.
Huge.
They have I'm looking for, I did it, I was looking for a
Looking for a
furnace.
generator.
Yeah.
My house lost power again last night.
And then he
So
goes,
it's like,
this is the best person. And all these people go, oh, I gotta use it, I'm gonna call that guy, I'm gonna call him, I'm gonna
Yeah.
call him.
Always
Yeah,
ask for referrals.
yes.
oh, yeah.
Always, especially, no matter whatever communities you service, if you have a good experience with the customer, we say that all the time on the New Canaan Moms group. Someone will say, oh my gosh, this guy just left my house, he fixed my generator, or fixed my pool, or,
Yeah.
or
Oh.
leaky faucet, and they're happy to pass along the good information. Most people really want to help out
Yeah.
Yeah.
small business people.
The biggest thing with like signage on your van is that their neighbors see it. And it's always
I
like,
know.
I want to keep up with they're getting a generator. I'm
generator,
going to give
I
them
think
a call.
I need one too.
Yeah, and also, I don't know if you could do this in New Canaan, probably realtors, like a little foam core sign in the front. You can't do that.
Oh, no.
But in some neighborhoods, I always say, ask if you could put a sign out for like a week. Can I leave it there for a week? Because the neighbors will want the same thing that you did, like painters and,
Yeah.
you
have,
stonework.
I know it sounds kind of crazy,
Yeah,
Valpak and Money Mailer.
yeah.
I know it sounds crazy. I have one company that uses Valpak and Money Mailer still to this day, and we geo-target certain locations and do certain deals and test them. And for whatever they pay, they get so many people coming in with that little certificate. And it's just certain businesses, right, guys? It's not, whenever you're sitting there going, I got to get the carpet clean. Let me go through that list of things. You will do it until you find the carpet cleaner. So there's just certain businesses that they're still good.
Yeah, and by the way, if you're going to do a coupon or a special or something, do it right. Like, I don't know about you, Ace Hardware sends me stuff all the time, and I walked in with a $10 off, $50 or more, and they said, I'm really sorry, it's regular price merchandise. And I felt like just leaving my cart and walking out. I go, I came in here, I do shop here all the time, but I came in here to buy stuff, and I wanted to get my $10 off, and they were like, no, sorry.
So, the
Yeah.
fine tuning of the deal. Don't get too fine-tuned.
I walked in the store, and I think I spent $80 worth of stuff
Yeah.
in the hardware store, and they wouldn't give it to me. I'm talking about it right now. What kind of taste did they leave in my mouth? Not a good taste.
Not as good, not as good. Did we have
And
one
it-
over here? Question over here? No?
No?
All righty. Well, you guys have been a great audience.
this is great.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
And,
Love to hear it.
And
So-
that's all we have for today. Please follow us on Instagram and Facebook. If you'd like to suggest a topic or just chat, email us at info@twoheadschannel.com. We'd love to hear from you.
Please subscribe. We host this podcast every week. Thanks to everyone who follows us on our LinkedIn, and we really love to have those deeper conversations on LinkedIn. And we'll speak to you soon.
Yep.
And have an unbelievable week.